Okay, now let's move on to interfaces or mixers, whatever you want to call them. They are properly called interfaces. So there is a bunch of different interfaces you can use. One I've seen before used to great effect is the Tascam. The Tascam US 2x2 USB audio interface. Chris, you don't have a Tascam out there, do you?
Tascam interface?
Yeah.
No, I do have the Scarlett.
You got the Scarlett.
I could bring that in there if you want to showcase that.
I think we're going to talk about that in a second because I don't really know the difference, to be honest. But pros, plugs right into the computer. It's pretty affordable. Can handle XLR mics. It's portable, and it saves files on your computer. The one about the Tascam, the 2 channels, it limits you to 2 microphones. May not provide the best audio quality, less control of your sound as opposed to some other interfaces. Single track recording, and no Bluetooth support. As opposed to like the Rodecaster, which is one I use at home. But yeah, okay, now Christian, yeah, show your show the one you got.
All right, let me just grab it.
This is one we are going to sell on our store. As of recording this on 1/16, it is not currently available, but coming soon to a store near you. Ambiguous Podcast Solutions, apspodcast.com/products. There it is.
So I'm gonna split screen this.
Yep. So talk to me about it, Christian. What do you love about it? What's so great about it?
What I love about it is that the sample rate is really high, meaning it goes up to I think 192 kilohertz. Higher sample rate. Samples are basically just small little pictures of your voice, so there's just more detail. However, everything we listen to and consume is at 44 and 48 anyway. So, that's not necessarily a factor, but it gives pretty quality audio for a pretty cheap price point. I believe this one is $150. A lot of people have these and they use them for, music recording. They use it for podcast recording. It has 2 inputs on this, one for a microphone, for a vocal mic. It has 48 phantom power, 48 volt phantom power. It also has an instrument input. If you were doing podcasting, you wouldn't need the instrument input. Instead, you would need 2 XLR ports. So this one has 1.
So it's a 1-channel interface.
Right. But this is, we would be selling the version that
2
has 1 and that has 2 right here. This is the headphone jack. Let's get the little plastic out of the way. Let's just take it off. Why is it on there? And there you go.
Yep. Headphones go right in there, and you can listen to it. In terms of adjusting audio, can you raise the gain?
Yep. So that is
anything like
that is this knob right here.
The knob's the gain. Yeah. What do all the knobs do? Explain. What
So
all the
this
knobs
is the microphone gain.
Yep.
This second gain knob is right here. That is instrument gain. Okay. On the one that we sell, it would be 2 microphones. So both of these knobs would turn up the gain, the input volume of the microphones.
And what does gain do? How I understand it, gain pretty much extends the range at which microphone can be picked up at, right?
Yep, it turns up the input volume.
Right.
So this is a quick audio lesson. You want to make sure that your input volume is really no higher than 3/4 up the meter at the highest level. So if someone's gonna laugh, you need to account for that. I always say it's better to record at a low volume and turn it up because you can always turn it up louder. But once you distort it, the damage is already done. So you record at a conservative level. And then if you want to hear it louder, turn it up in your system. Don't turn it up over here.
Right.
Right. But that's what all the buttons do. We have phantom power, we have input gain adjustment, and we have 2 inputs. We have a headphone jack, and on the back, we have the jacks that you would plug into your interface or your speakers. You would plug your speakers into this.
So how is it powered? That top left, that's just the power cord that goes into the wall.
Right. This is it's not a power supply, it's USB powered. Right where my finger is.
Oh, so this goes into your computer.
Right. This
Okay.
is a USB interface.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay. Cool. I've actually never fiddled around with them too much, but they're not that difficult. It pretty much just takes all the unnecessary stuff, like an actual audio mixer, and just condenses it down to exactly what you need it to do.
Yep. Audio mixers, they tend to be used for live. These are specifically for recording.
Yeah, I wish I knew more about that 8 years ago when I started.
Yeah.
Because that would have made my life a ton easier.
But that is the
Really
Focusrite Scarlett Solo. I
Yeah.
think we will be selling the Scarlett Solo as well as the Scarlett 2i2, which stands for 2 inputs.
Yep. And you can get them up to as many inputs as it can allow, but the more inputs, the more expensive it is.
Yeah, I think they even have a 16 channel, or 24
Yeah.
channel. They go up pretty there.
They go pretty
And
crazy.
Focusrite is a really good brand.
Yeah, and we are partnering with them as well to sell their equipment. And it's 1-to-1.
They do everything
will
from
be
budget to even pro studio level, which
Right.
is what I like about them.
Yeah. So again, if you're gonna be a business and you want to do your own recordings, buy those. Buy those because they're gonna be your best friend. If you are a podcaster who's been using USB for a while and you want to upgrade, buy the interface. If you're alone, you can do it alone. If you're with guests, you can do it with guests. If you're remote, you can still do it remote. Actually, I think.
And the good thing about those
Actually,
is that
Christian,
they're portable.
Let me ask you that, Christian. With that interface, the Scarlett interface, say you were using the interface and I was at home on Zoom, and we were on Zoom.
Yeah.
You could connect your interface, get your audio through Zoom, but how would you get mine into Pro Tools? Could you do that through the interface?
Through this interface, I would get mine into. So we do that currently here. Whenever we have a Zoom virtual guest.
Right.
So
But could you do that through your Scarlett?
through my Scarlett. Yes. So what I would do is, it's a little bit complicated of an answer, but I could tell you. Essentially, you would set up an output. It's called aggregate output on Mac. I don't know what it's called on Windows, but basically you'd have a multi-output device set up. It'd have 2 inputs. Let's say you call it Zoom Virtual Guest.
Mm-hmm.
You could call it whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have both this output and input and also your computer's input and output, and you would just do the proper routing in Pro Tools. But it
Right.
can be done.
Okay.
It can be done. And certain interfaces have their own virtual inputs and outputs that you could use as well to accomplish that. But
Right.
yes, I believe you can. You definitely can.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause that'd be big. So like if I had like a single channel interface, mine's like 6 or 7, or I think mine might be up to 8 channels. I don't remember. But if I had my stuff going through the interface, recording on Audition,
Mm-hmm.
and then the guest on Zoom would also go into Audition, preferably in a multi-track, but if not, it could be 1 track. You can do that from the Scarlett.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. Now, if you're experienced like me, it doesn't quite want to go the full studio route, which like Christian does, with like the board, the heat, and like the crazy computer and all that fun stuff, you can get a Rodecaster Pro. We are able to sell these. We currently do not, but in the future we could because they're awesome. So the Rodecaster Pro is the podcast production studio. It will do everything you need. Everything. This is the all-in-one interface. Anything I would ever need from a mixer or an interface that I'm never going to buy another one. I don't need to. I'm doing it from home. It allows for recording on multi-track. So I can do 4 microphones, remote, phone, and Bluetooth, and a sound pad. So that's how many? That's 4. Phone, Bluetooth, sound pad, 8. It's an 8-channel mixer. I can do remote interviews, and it has top-notch audio quality. It acts as a soundboard, so I can upload sounders. So, like, for example, when I hop on a Zoom meeting for a recording for Talking with Tarashuk, I tell the guest, hey, man, I'm just going to hear an intro, and in about 60 seconds, we're going to get started. I play my Talking with Tarashuk intro. 1, it sounds really cool. The guest is really impressed. It's something they've never heard before, guaranteed, because most podcasts don't podcast like I do. Or if, like, my wrestling podcast, I have sound effects, like zingers, like Ric Flair going, woo! I can upload that into my soundboard, which is really cool. Editing and multi-track, it's the, Christian, is it the AISO input?
ASIO.
ASIO.
Mm-hmm.
Explain how that works.
That is essentially a sound card, a programmable sound card.
It's like a digital sound card.
Where you can plug in what you want that sound card to represent. So, let's say you want to have your inputs from your microphones plug in. Like, okay, I'll give you an example. If you want, let's say okay, I got microphones plugged into this. That's the input. But for some odd reason, I want the audio to come out my computer speakers, not my interface speakers, not my mixer speakers. You could set up the sound card in that way. So essentially, you open up I think it's called ASIO 4 Hall. It's a very Windows thing. I haven't used it in a very long time.
It is very Windows.
You could open that thing up and say, okay, I want this to be this. I want this to be this. And then when you open up a program, it'll be like, what do you want what's your sound card? You click on that ASIO 4 Hall, and it will have all those programmed features included on that output. So for this computer, I could make it, if I had my Scarlett plugged in, it could be Scarlett Solo USB. Mm-hmm. Or because I'm using my Apollo interfaces, it could be Universal Audio. But if I had an ASIO 4 Hall, I could click on ASIO 4 Hall, and whatever I plugged into that will be the sound card inputs and outputs and everything included. Also had one thing to add about the Scarlett. I just looked it up. Some of them have a loopback feature, which basically is built into the interface, virtual channels that allow you to record other sources that are on your computer.
So it acts as a USB input.
Basically,
right.
Virtual ones.
Virtual USB input.
So you could be like,
Excellent.
oh, I want to record from my browser. Like if I'm playing a YouTube video, or if I have Zoom open, these kind of things.
That's exactly how the Rodecaster does it.
Is it called loopback?
I don't know if it's called loopback. It's just called a USB input.
Right, and I will say apparently it doesn't apply to all of the Scarletts, but some of them. But that's a useful feature, and if it doesn't have that feature on your particular Scarlett, my first explanation would be the workaround.
Right. And the Rodecaster also records everything on a micro SD, so records from the mixer. So if you don't have like recording software, you can plug in a micro SD card and record it straight from the mixer. The Rodecaster also has these inputs. So like this microphone is the RE20. If I plug in this microphone into a Rodecaster, I can go into the settings and it'll auto configure towards an RE20. Which is pretty cool. And they'll give you the suggested settings for like the gain and everything through their touchscreen channels.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's like I can adjust the gain on the mixer, like through the touchscreen. I can do different things through the touchscreen. I can turn certain things on and off through the touchscreen. I haven't even done the full thing what I can do with it because I just use it for what I need it for, but. It's really cool. The Bluetooth is really cool. The Bluetooth supported. So say I had a phone call, I can connect them via Bluetooth, or I can hardwire them in through my phone. So I can connect the phone into the mixer. But the Bluetooth is really cool. So yeah, it's phenomenal. I love it. It's very expensive. It's like $500-$600. But if you've been podcasting for a long time, it took me 6 years before I bought it, and I haven't looked back. It's incredible.